Welcome back to one of the most unreasonable videos I've ever made. With 84 commanders loading into the map, 4 teams of 21 here in Beyond All Reason. The game, inspired by Total Annihilation, made entirely by volunteers. It's absolutely free to play, but it will cost you a huge chunk of your free time. And a lot of your sanity. But before we get started, it'd be amazing if you could smash that like button and maybe even subscribe. Help me counter the algorithm. And Jimmy, what are we at? 1,084 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways, because I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Beyond All Reason, your commander is everything. And in this game mode especially, as very technically, all you must do is destroy your opponent's commanders. In this case, that means the majority of 84 of them. But you don't have to build any units, despite the fact there's a limit of 32,000. You don't have to construct any factories to produce those units. You don't have to gather any metal, any energy. You don't have to use those resources in order to build defenses or progress your tech. I mean, you should, and it's critically important if they do so. But very technically, you could just take one of your commanders, whether it's Armada, Cortex, or Legion, the 3 factions, even though Legion's still in progress, in development, and just go across the map and battle it out. But of course, we're not playing a MOBA here. It's worse. So, there are 2 major roles at this stage. 1, the front line, 2, everyone else. The front line, their job is going to be to push forward, especially with those early units. Try to gain some map control, gain some vision, maybe get some early pickoffs so you can grab some safety. And then the back line, which will mostly be supporting them and be constantly yelled at for not supporting them enough. And vice versa. And that is the early game of Beyond All Reason. The Tier 1, mostly bot labs, it looks like, across the board. Of course, there are going to be 4 major fronts opened up here on Carrot Mountain, a map filled with valleys and hills and plateaus and geothermals, and fighting within those locations. So very important to note, depending on the type of unit, that determines how you can maneuver. Vehicles trying to go up hills, it's technically possible, but it's difficult. Units get more effective range when they're on the high ground, whether it be being able to aim their projectiles more easily, or generally using gravity in order to assist. So the positioning and the fact that this map is essentially just a series of hills is definitely going to factor in as time goes on. But starting things off, looks like the fronts are drawn. No one able to make a lot of progress yet, but Hellshound pushing forward, the top player on the team by ranking. For the green team, pushing forward with his Legion commander and some Decurion assault tanks. Pretty much the strongest Tier 1 unit in the game. Slam door, forced to retreat, but he's starting to get peppered by some of those Decurion miniguns. Just, is this going to be first bolt? Meanwhile, some of the tanks to the south. Commander at 10%. It's so close! And he barely survives. What a save! Hellshound almost able to take him out. Now, one of the most important concepts, to understand is reclaim. Whenever a unit dies, oh no, 420 and a blaze of glory. Or disaster, really depending on who you ask. As first bolt, Tainted Pack will be taken down. The first commander to be removed from the field for the green team. Even though they're making progress to the south, doesn't mean they're going to be able to continue it. But understanding reclaim. Whenever a unit, a commander, a building dies, most of the time, it leaves behind a wreck. And that wreck is worth a certain amount of metal. That means even if you spend a lot to conquer an area of the battlefield, like right now, Patakan Classic are doing down the center, that means you can reclaim up to, it's usually around 70%. I think it might always be 70% of the wreckage. with metal. You can also potentially resurrect those units with energy and convert them to your side. There's a lot that can be done to perpetuate the battle, and you're rewarded for aggression. But of course, if you go too far and you can't hold that position, well, it doesn't matter too much, and you've just handed your enemy those resources. So, the battle's continuing. Artillery really starting to spew out. Some of the tier 1 artillery tanks trying to attack up to the high ground. Not the easiest thing here, but you get enough artillery, it doesn't matter whether you're able to aim. Meanwhile, the blue team pushing through over to the far eastern. You're the front now. Not exactly what these players want to hear, as they've been too busy building up wind turbines and solar panels, neither of which is particularly good at battling against plasma bots. The commander trying to pull to the front. The maces are just bashing through. And looking to get that D gun out. The disintegration gun, for a moderate energy cost, can one-shot every unit in the game besides other commanders. But Big Justin is a conscientious objector to living. Will be obliterated. Meanwhile, a whole troop of pawns has broken through the front line into the green team. The tanks are moving in to defend. Artillery bashing through. There's already 4,000 units on the field. We're only 6 minutes in. I have no idea how long this game is. I made a concerted effort not to spoil myself. But, the red team is starting to crumble. You can actually see the metal income in the top right corner. The spectator interface is usually a little more relevant and easy to read, but when there are 84 players on the map, it gets a bit more complicated. So far, the metal income, 600 to 800 per second for each team. Varies pretty wildly based on the amount of reclaim they're able to gather. Some napalm coming out. What's happening to the north side? I feel like I've neglected it. There's a little bit going on. I feel like we could have 8 cameras and cut between them. And maybe at some point we'll have that level of production. But for now, I'll do my best. Tier 2 units coming out. We've got some Cortex Sheldons, the long-range artillery bot, shooting not the most damaging projectiles, but they have incredibly long range, especially compared to some of their counterparts. Makes it very annoying to dislodge them, especially with some radar jammers nearby. Is that an anti-nuke out there? I think we may have to turn off the anti-nuke indicators. There is, oh wow, there's a lot of indicators. But anti-nuke to counter some of the potential nuclear missiles. Maybe a bit early on, but with players pooling resources, it's not out of the question. The red team has lost a lot of ground over towards their blue front, but they've made up a lot of that ground towards the green team, have almost established themselves on the forward hill. A commander, I think, went down on the plateau. Some of the commanders, I don't know if they started there or decided to, or used a transport to move there, but trying to hold the high ground, and for many of them, they won't be able to hold it forever. Some of those Carquinos blasting forward the lines, kind of shifting back and forth over the hills. The tanks battling against the pawns, rocket bots on either side, artillery slamming in. But so far, Clepasius, yellow and blue, brawling it out as well. Been pushed back by some of the tier 2 tanks. That's long range. Oh, a Cerberus geothermal plasma battery. One of the most useful tools, I think, in this sort of game. It essentially is both a geothermal energy producer and an artillery piece. Porque no los dos. Doesn't give you as much energy as a dedicated geothermal, but being able to shoot back is obviously helpful. Red team starting to make some progress all the way up to the yellow-green front. There's always the awkward moment of how far do you want to push one of the teams, because the more you commit to one side of things, the harder it's going to be to deal with the others. Some bombers coming in, a surprisingly low amount of air for now. But bombers setting up to get some damage done. The anti-air is kind of lacking, it looks like, at the moment. as they're going for the economy. Is that an experimental gantry for tier 3 units on the way? That seems optimistic. Going towards the back line, the bombing run. There is a fusion back there as well. The windmills will be taken out with relative ease. Meanwhile, more lines drawn. We're up to 5,600 units without really any sign of stopping. The map's starting to get filled up. The back line, adding some of those fusion cores in order to maximize. Now, what do we have here? Oh, that was just... What is this radius? Gotta look down the center. Oh, but the spiders! The spiders are climbing to try to deal with the plasma battery, but the commander says no. Get off my lawn! Fires a D-gun down the edge. And the rest of the units, they're going to try to come around the corner of the plateau. Spider's an incredibly useful unit in so many scenarios that aren't flat plains. Unfortunately, they were scouted out and easily smashed. Fiends down the center, brawling. Ooh. Phalanx shield bots from the Legion as well up against them. Some arquebus railguns, able to pick them off. And overall, just not enough going on over there. Bigger picture. Ooh. Green team losing another commander. Let's get a commander count. 18 for green. 19. All of their... Wait, no. We started with 21. 19 commanders for red. A commander and a transport. 19 for blue. And 17 for yellow. But still, plenty to go. How did that bomber make it so far out? Meanwhile, trying to crest the high ground, but once you get down into the trenches, it should become a little more clear why it's so hard to push up. A tremor. Just essentially a plasma cannon on wheels. One of the most difficult pieces of our... Wait. Yes, one of the most difficult and expensive pieces of artillery. It definitely should be something you send directly into the front lines to die. Yet here we are. Meanwhile, to the north, a breach in the lines. Some fat boys on the high ground. No, not a personal attack, but instead, a description of the unit. A shorter range, massive plasma piece trying to fight against the arquebus, who do outrange them. But they're firing off Nerf guns against these massive grenade launchers effectively. The fat boys are holding. Oh, some bombers or gunships coming across. Are those javelins? Striders. Some tier 3 units hitting the field. Though the weakest version... Wait, no, the Striders are tier 2. More commanders going down. We're up to 6,800 units. About to hit the fabled 6,900 units, and we'll see who has a nice computer in order to be able to handle that. A lot of players have already tapped out, but many more still remain. Longer range lasers. It's like pulsars and starlights from Armada firing throughout the field. Big push over to the eastern flank. They're trying to go straight through the front lines, and a lot of those are anti-air and artillery. Actually gets caught a little bit off guard. The red team looking to crest the hill. Mostly tier 1 and tier 2 tanks, but there's not much to match them. Rockets thrown out. The tier 2 vehicle lab on the high ground. But it looks like the push will make some progress, and if they can take out some of the production facilities out here, they're not too far away from being able to hit the economy. It looks like the push starting to stall out. The commander moving up to help defend. And with that, a more dangerous moment has been diffused for now. 7,200 units. Unit count you can find above the player list, which, yes, I also zone out trying to look at it. Yellow team, some spam units in order to draw fire, potentially help push forward. throwing small expendable units like goblins in can help draw some of the shots, especially from things like fat boys and artillery, in order to cover for your stronger units to push forward, and generally make it more difficult for the enemy to move forward. Meanwhile, Tier 3 Demon tries to get close. An experimental gantry directly on the high ground, putting together some Razorbacks. The Gatling gun mechs. Long-range plasma cannons starting to fire from either side as well. Some anti-nuke bots. I thought... Wait. Defense ranges, anti... There we go. Alright. There's gonna be so many overlapping, it's just gonna get out of hand. Somehow one of the commanders still on the high ground. We'll see how far they make it. Another getting taken down. I don't believe any nukes have been launched. There. Exchanging fire. Another push. Another commander dead. Green team down to 15. A lot of progress forward. Some of the hounds slipping down to the very south side of the map. Another commander is taken out, and everything alongside it as well. Don't eat, we res army. Yeah, instead of reclaiming, resing is usually superior. It just takes a lot more time and energy. Whereas you can get that quick fix of metal if you reclaim quickly. Razorbacks punching through the front lines. Starlight's taken out. And as the economies scale, it's only going to get more and more dangerous for everyone on the front. And eventually, everyone behind them. Red and blue still going back and forth. Big push. What a spread. I can't believe it's not butter. As the grunts marching through, trying to overwhelm the front lines. So far, getting stalled out. The entire battle line of Sheldons, like a musket fire here. Making sure the grunts can't get much closer, but units still streaming over. The air war continues as well. Plasma cannons going into the deflector shields. Very important. Those are deflector shields, not absorbing shields. They will deflect projectiles at the cost of energy. But those projectiles sometimes will still land somewhere. That is very critical to note. The Sheldon line is holding. Oh. Mosquitoes. Epic mosquitoes. The advanced version from the Legion. Starting to help defend. A gunship type unit. Decent against smaller amounts of ground. It feels like the east to west fronts are definitely more spicy than north to south. I think that's just out of reflex as well from the teams, for the most part. As usually the game is played on this map from east to west in a less crowded game, that is. Nuclear bombers, though. Some liches from the Armada. Starting to build up. Can, I believe, 2-shot commanders, 1-shot production. If those break through, they could easily hit the back line where the economy is gathering for pretty much everyone. Main push moving forward. Fat boys on either side. Bastion. Heat ray defense towers. The Eye of Legion burning through. The atomic bombers are heading out. They've got a target. They're just aiming for the front line for now. There's multiple flak cannons. Long range anti-air. One may break. No. They all get shot down before they can get close. And when they crash, they do some damage, but not nearly as much as their payload would have. More spam units headed north on either side. The green team has made a significant amount of progress in breaking through between the fat boys, the welders with their lightning guns, And the sharpshooters just picking off the rest. Seems like... Oh, a nuke may shut down that push, indeed. They push too far into enemy territory. No coverage from the anti-nuke. And now, well... things get more difficult. And everyone just got the notification that a nuclear launch was detected. Oh, I guess you don't get the notifications while you're observing, which is disappointing. Let's throw it in there for you, though.
Nuclear missile launch detected.
Or even better.
Nuclear launch detected.
A no-bots land down the center, as the weapons have gotten so dangerous and nobody really wants to cross the front lines, as that would cost you more than it's worth. But Red's starting to break through. Tyrannus battle cruisers in position. The Starlight's breaking through the valleys, but with this much air overhead, I think this push will be shut down with relative ease. Meanwhile, attacks from the north. The yellow team is pushing in. Green is getting shut down, though they have a lot of economy. We're up to over 9,000 units. And no signs of stopping as the economies continue to scale up. Over 100,000 energy production, multiple thousands of metal per second for either side. I think this light green color is actually part of the yellow team, which... you know, with 84 players on the map, we're starting to run out of primary colors. Speaking of red and blue, still quite a standoff. Interesting how little of the center of the map is taken. At this stage, oh, the tanks are breaking through. The sharpshooters at point-blank range, effectively meleeing the tanks here in the valley. The Starlights are forced to retreat. Meanwhile, the main push... coming through the side, a flying Epoch, a flying flagship, take it out of the water, put some thrusters underneath it, and jam it into the air. A huge investment. The Tyrannus will contest it. We're effectively having a naval battle in the air here, which I guess is why they call them ships, but... is that a nuke? No, those are just a bunch of rockets coming out. Conventional weapons. Meanwhile, what is... epic Stormbringer, experimental carpet bomber, setting up a run. I don't think there's any way they're going to stop it. He actually completely whiffed the run, though. And will hit a whole lot of the side of that hill and nothing else. All right. Close, but no cigars here. Well, coming around for another pass, though. There's very limited anti-air. All right, that was a test run. Another shot. This one's a lot closer. And we'll cleave through the lines. The flagships are continuing to rally out. The Stormbringer has been taken down. The yellow team has pushed through, but blue has quite a battle line holding down the high ground. The amount of spam. We've reached over 10,000 units, but the Razorbacks may break the lines from the red team. Just look at the mini-map now as streams of spam units coming through. The slight southwestern corner of the map is almost completely empty as the green team has been jammed back into their corner, but they're holding strong for now. Green, how many commanders left? 12 commanders. Red, 16. Blue, 16. And yellow at 17. Green definitely... Starfall! The Legion artillery, the longest range option, hits the deflector shields and punches right through. There's not enough energy to maintain. Anti-nuke going up, but the Starfall can't be stopped directly except by taking out the source. You can only deflect it, but that Starfall was sorely needed. Wow, look at the field. The entire hill is covered by converters. The Starfall firing from literally the corner of the map. Besieging the front lines. What is the range? Yep. It can hit the entire quadrant and then some. No, we don't pause for anyone here. No matter how many units are in the game. Things starting to chug just a little bit with 11,000 units. The map entirely filled. 24 minutes in and no sign of a conclusion, but with the... Oh, wait. Fires off the Starfall to the north as well. Gonna hit the yellow team and completely obliterate the front line. Opens up potentially a gap in the defenses. Some more hits coming through. The Tyrannus, the Legion Air, is making its way into the gap. And now, still the standoff. Red and blue have been holding almost even throughout most of this, but that may change. Vanguard, mobile plasma cannons breaking forward. Fusions in position. If they can get taken out. I don't know if they know about the fusions on the high ground, but the Starfalls on the other side of the map continuing to rain down, but none close to this side so far. The spam just exchanging throughout the entire center. The red team has not quite broken through green, and that Starfall has certainly complicated things. You don't see more of them because they are obscenely expensive. The standoff down the center. They're breaking through so far, but the gap between the infrastructure of the teams widens constantly as weapons get more and more effective at reaching further and further. Oh my. Another hit. Pounds the plateau to the north. Some EMP coming through as well. EMP for disabling units and defenses. Nuke here, please. Is there anti-nuke? That Starfall, there's not too much between the front and the Starfall. A nuke knocked out of the sky by some anti-nuke interceptors, but there's more nuke launchers where that came from. I believe a Starfall under construction for the yellow team. It just began. The lines are holding. Still, the green team I thought was sliding into a difficult position, but that Starfall turned it around. They're holding the front now. The income is similar. In fact, 270k energy apiece. Right now, the red team, despite the amount of control they've been able to take on the map, actually has the least energy and metal income, and those two usually follow one another. Because at this stage, most of the income is coming from the energy converters. Trying a tank attack down the center. A few units in position to deal with it, but the Starfall hits the back line. The red team has one now. We're exchanging fire across the board. Starfall rains down. One shield is not enough to stop it. A couple overlapping shields. No, it's not enough. The chain reaction obliterates the front line. Total annihilation. More Starfalls raining down. More being built towards the front. Nuclear missiles can be intercepted, but some condensed plasma flung out from extreme range is not something you could deal with nearly as easily. Every team... Wait, the blue team is severely lacking in Starfalls now, as the yellow team shells the front as well. Another hit on the high ground. They were attempting to build a Ragnarok up there. It's not gonna happen. The blue team is getting pummeled into oblivion. They were doing so well, but the lines are broken as the Starfalls continue to raid in. Another set. That single shield just not enough. The Starfalls just breaking them down and knocking out everything within. Usually something dangerous to have exploding nearby your base. But at the same time, another Starfall's finished. It's bouncing off. The shields will hold, but they'll bounce to the back line, making things more vulnerable. A nuke able to land as well. But that forward Starfall from the green team now striking back against the heart of Red's base. And they may have just turned this game around. The projectiles bouncing off everything. 11,000 units. It seems like we've maxed out on the unit count as the extreme long-range super artillery seems to be more relevant. It's important to note that each shot of the Starfall takes 360,000 energy to fire, which is more than the entire energy production of each team for 1 second. Now, something landed. I think a nuke off to the edge. The blue team, they still have managed to maintain most of their energy. The Starfall hitting very important things. Breaking through the shields, and there go the fusions. Up to the north side, the shields are failing. The back line, I don't know how many Starfalls are in range. The question, well, we'll see if it's enough. The teams are combining. There's a lot of converters. There they go. One good shot is all it's gonna take. One good bounce. Red also suffering dramatic losses. Kind of surprised they're not turning the Starfalls on green, who is actually turned this completely around now. The double star. Yes, the units are still brawling in between, but the Starfalls have completely taken over the map. Nuclear launch. Wait, that nuke is not being intercepted. Near point blank. Gonna fire up to the high ground, knock out everything on that hill. Some catapults helping to deal with it, but at the extreme edge of the range. Another nuke. That one's gonna be intercepted. It seems we've stabilized. The red team down to 200k energy production. The other teams 300 to 350 with the accompanying amounts of metal. Blue is in a very similar position to green, where they've been pushed back to their corner. They've been able to hold. The only thing saving them now is that there is a range limit to the Starfalls. It's very long, but it's not the entire map. They can't quite reach all the way back. More Starfalls raining. There are the tier 2 plasma shields enabled, it seems. One of the projectiles bouncing off the edge of the map. Oh no! Something broke through. A Starfall shot bounced in. And that will be the last volley out of the red team. At least for the foreseeable future. They lost their back line. They lost a chunk of their energy. The red team is flailing. They're struggling. The green team is actually pushing forward. Thors on the low ground, but the flagships should be able to take it out. There's flagships on either side. Oh, a big hit. Some of the Thors are breaking through. Those super lightning tanks, the tier 3, the strongest unit, arguably, at least from tier 3, that isn't a Juggernaut or a Titan. In a normal game, we have all the super units enabled here. So, there are some stronger options. Behemoths. Brenda has arrived. The behemoths, the barely mobile heavy turrets. 335,000 HP of pure spite. Starfalls exchanging. A nuke? Or something close. Goes down the center. Red really trying to press forward. Attacking the high ground. Some assimilators. The battle mechs just holding the line. And yellow feels like they've taken a huge chunk of the map. But it's actually the green team with the highest economy. Red is struggling. Blue doing pretty well for where they are. just as I say it. More nukes landing. It seems we've capped out around 10 to 11,000 units as the plasma artillery and regular artillery and nuclear missiles have created a higher impact, and the spam has reached equilibrium as the battle lines annihilate one another. But now this is a crazy move. The yellow team thinking about wiping out red. I don't think, well, or at least looking to see how red is doing. Because remember, if we go to the yellow team vision, these players do not see what's happening on the other side. In fact, the yellow team has had no vision. You could see the explosions, but that's it. They have no idea what's happening in this sort of exchange. Same goes for the red team when it comes to especially yellow, the kitty corner options. So they're all playing with imperfect information. They know something's happening up there. You can see the projectiles flinging out the explosions. But I think they're trying to figure out whether or not they have to worry about a greater threat happening on the other side of the map, as opposed to the one they've been focusing on. More Starfalls. How many now? They just keep building them. The map is coated with fusions and converters. The shields are holding an entire umbrella, but Starfalls are trickling through. And one bad shot could end the game on its own. A summoning circle of construction aircraft is building more fusions. A risky endeavor, but at this point, if one thing goes, they all go. The fusion's right on the edge of the shield. There's a gap. And the Starfalls are streaming through it. More hits. Those tier 2 shields can absorb a lot more punishment, but are very expensive to maintain and build in the first place. I feel like one of these Starfall shots is going to break through. They're sliding off the edges in between the gaps into the valleys. Just kind of swerving. Oh no. Fusions in the back corners. The shields overlapping the entire field. Another nuke to the north, or well, relative to what we're looking at right now. I will say, I do hope we get some updates to the shield look in the future. And this was actually played before the Lightbringer update that you may have seen some of the more recent casts on, where there was a big overhaul to the just the lighting of the game. And soon we will have night mode on the Starfalls. Yes, impressive to see the updates while still being able to run the game at all. A big hit through the center of the yellow base, actually. Getting cored out. The Starfalls continue to rain down. Any of these hits could be the end. The green team is at 400k energy. Blue is at 350. But green seems like they've restabilized. They got pushed back so far they condense. Oh, there it goes! The entire base gets wiped out. A few fusions remain, but without the energy, they don't have the Starfalls to strike back. They won't even be able to maintain their shields. It's a disaster. The constant barrage of plasma just firing down, and the blue team is down to 100k energy. They are all but dead in the water at this stage. The green team has an overlapping smorgasbord of shields, and they are in a great position to potentially capitalize on the situation. Yellow has been very strong throughout, but the battle for the west will continue. The red team is not out of it yet, and they're about to be removed of a northern neighbor. So, I mean, I guess there is a scenario where everyone else destroys each other to the point that blue can come back. They're not completely out of it, but regaining that level of momentum at this stage is nearly impossible. Starfalls pounding through the shields. They're holding for now. The projectiles splaying out. The sheer amount of Starfalls. Oh, no, 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 no. They're getting to the back line. The fusions. Oh! Somehow the fusions avoid outright annihilation. A nuke is coming out. But these Starfalls are bouncing so precariously to the back, and there it goes! The entire back line is gutted. A disaster for the yellow team as well. Oh no. They're down to 234. And now the green team almost has more economy than the rest of the map combined. But they have a dozen commanders and there's still 31 for their enemies. It's a pawn launcher! A pawn launcher, we're using Star Wars mechanics, where you can't fire into the shields, but you can run underneath. It's firing off the pawns across the map to potentially run in and take out key infrastructure in a way that long-range artillery can't. More huge hits. It's kind of crazy how the map filled up and then contracted over time as the weapons advanced. The blue team just getting bullied. The shields are failing. The fusions are falling. And blue is effectively dead. Bombers from yellow. The anti-air seems kind of lacking, but then an entire, just carpet bombing the whole area. Really using that area attack command. Red is trying to rebuild, but green has solidified their position. Blue is voting to resign. And once they do, red and, well, both flanks of green, there is still a chance, because of the nature of the situation, that red and yellow will both combine and hit green. And they still combined have a competitive economy. They can't communicate, they can't ally, but the enemy of my enemy. The thing is, though, there's some Thors slipping into the back line. It's getting desperate for the yellow team. And there's still a few units trickling across from blue. So, making it improbable at best. The Thors are getting in underneath the shields. A single dragon trying to burn them as they slowly climb up the hill. But those fusions, you don't need to kill the most expensive one, you just need to kill one of them. And there goes another chunk of the economy. Firing off nukes at near point blank. Trying to help take out some of the air units. Pretty unreliable at that. Looks like another Starfall targeted. Oh no. What's left of yellow is being pounded by the unending Starfall barrages that just continue streaming outwards. Yellow still hitting blue. Remember, they don't have the whole picture, and at this point, the blue team still trying to vote to resign, but wait, whoa, with their last act we'll get some Titans in. Oh no, the tragedy of the commanders. They'll go for the weakest target, and blue was able to get some. They've been fighting red the whole game. Getting revenge on red is worth doing, but unfortunately that revenge has helped to hamstring the chances that anyone will fight against the tyranny of green. But blue says green was not my enemy. Green has been across the map the whole... We don't even know if green exists. Let's go to the vision. Wow. There's actually no vision of a singular green team building from the blue team. It would still show up here. Like some of these on the field that you can see for red. But they never, in fact, for all intents and purposes, the green team does not exist for the blue team. So. But how are they at 1 million metal per second? I think that's bugged. Or they might just be maxed out. The red team has so much metal, no one can spend... Ah, that's why. They can't spend it all. They're running out of production of build power. So, they literally don't have enough ability to produce for all the income they have. Nukes landing. Yellow has been pretty much removed from the map. Green still has 12 commanders against 17 remaining. Yellow actually votes to resign. Knocked out of the game. Red is still struggling to actually spend all but some plasma an entire just firing line of plasma cannons on the high ground. But there's so many shields. Now we have a Ragnarok. The Armada plasma cannon. Firing as well. There's just too much. The amount of flagships is pretty ridiculously high. The Starfall sliding off. Nukes launching. Where's that going that is not getting intercepted? It has to be close, right? Did they actually manage to take out any of the anti-nuke? Not really. That is dangerously close to the front lines. In fact, it takes out some of their own units, but it takes out more of the enemy. Green is now sliding over the top with some air units as well. Just clearing up the survivors of blue. Completing the total annihilation that the game mode requires. A single strategic atomic bomber. But there should be enough long-range anti-air here in order to take it out. There's a huge chain reaction potential if they get anywhere close, but there is this hill is covered in flak. There might be more flak than hill at this point. Not quite, but those are actually flak vehicles. The Tyrannus pounding into the shields. So even if they don't break through, they'll soften them up for the Starfalls. Nukes knocked out of the sky. Front line being pummeled. The sheer number of shields. It's just not enough. Down to only 6,000 units. Green versus red. The last push, a desperation move. They have to do something. Epic Tyrannus laying into the flagships, but they actually broke through. Okay, wait a second, the chain reaction through the base, not quite enough. Just barely not reaching. If it hits these fusions, I think it could have chained. It could have turned the entire game around. And the push is continuing. That chain reaction, it's not over. It's not over. It's close. But the anti-air is being spammed out. The flagships are breaking through. Meanwhile, air for either side. You remember, it comes down to the commanders. The commander count is the important point. 10 to 8. The flagships are getting close. All it's going to take is one to break through. The blue team has been eliminated from championship contention. More hits. The last incursion. They just need one. The map is so dense for green. They're not gonna get it. That was so close. That chain reaction would have spread over the hills and potentially reset the game. But I don't think they're gonna have enough to break through now. The red team pummeled into the corner. Jimmy! Not now! Point-blank nuclear missiles. Firing at the only place that it's not covered by the anti-nuke. They're still fighting back. They have so much income, they still can't spend it. That's why their resources look so high. But the build power, the ability to construct, whether it's construction turrets or vehicles, is not there. They're struggling to spend that amount of money. Okay, cover your eyes. The metal production in total, 340, does that say 340 million? I don't know. It sounds ridiculous. But the green team closing it out. At this point, they should be able to expand. The Starfall is raining down. The player list is almost readable at this point. The green team still with 11 commanders. I think they resurrected a couple of them. Hentai Warlord falls, and with it, and with him, hope. Dozens of commanders dead. The Tyrann is breaking through. The shields are failing. There's just not enough production. Not enough enough resources, but not enough to pull it together. There was that one attempt that got so close. The fusions are still damaged. They haven't been repaired. A single pawn potentially breaking through might be enough. But it's too late. The battle cruisers brawling out. The nukes launched and intercepted before they can get even far out of the silo. The Starfall's continuing. The nukes raining through. The shields are failing. And it's all over. Of course, they need a couple more people to resign. But with a grand total of, wow, 30, 40, maybe 50,000 units killed. Untold amount of resources produced. Might even get into integer overflow, which can happen in these games. The green team, which was originally pushed back, I think they had the right idea, though not sure how coherent it was. Give up some ground, build up the economy, and take back control. There it goes. GG! The green team is victorious, with most of their commanders still intact, or at least resurrected.
So that's how it ends.
Crafting Spark takes home, destroying research production. Tuska of both enemy units and defenses, as well as efficient use of resources. Well played. Alright, spend well and wisely. And Sock on the left, the traitor for the red team. Oh god, the graphs. Okay, well, not even gonna try with those. And I tried to zoom in, it didn't work out. The combined APMs of hundreds, almost as much as Clem on the entire team combined. But Carrot Mountain is claimed by the green team, or at least over what's left. Hopefully, you enjoyed. I'd like to take this time to recommend the guides of... I'm going to mispronounce, so I'm just going to abbreviate the name, but Jimmy is going to put in the description of Super Kaido or Super Kato. Makes incredibly good and relatively short guides on some of the basics. I have a few on this channel as well if you're interested in getting into it. Most games are not 80 players. These are special occasions, but we have the 50K Discord event coming up soon. If you're watching this the first week, if afterwards, the 100K Discord event is coming up soon. We're going to have even more players. We're going to break even more games with even better graphics, because this was before the new graphics update as well. But I certainly hope you enjoy. Make sure to check out those guides if you're interested. Like, subscribe, and we got a whole playlist of more matches if you want to check them out. But thank you for watching. If you got the means and motivation, it'd be awesome to check out Patreon or YouTube membership. But I hear liking and subscribing is still free, at least for now. So, thank you for watching. I hope I made your day a little bit better. Good luck. Have fun. Stay unreasonable.